Hello again, and welcome back to the Grounded Bag podcast. I'm your host, Aiysha and And if you have not already planted roots with us, please go ahead and do that by subscribing to the YouTube channel so that you don't miss any videos that is published. And most importantly, make sure that you tell the YouTube multiverse that you are loving the content that's being shared with you, down to the shorts that I share, down to the different segments that I'm also going to be including about simple and quick meals that you can make. Because as a college student myself and also as a older Gen Z, I know what it's like. I've had the Hungry Man dinners. I've had the banquet dinners. I've had the pub subs, which I wished I lived near Publix because their subs, Subway who? I'm sorry, but Publix subs, they still got it like that. Let me know in the comments if the prices are still reasonable because I know it's been a minute, like about maybe 5 years since I've had anything Publix because when I used to live in Georgia, it was like accessible. Now I don't live in Georgia anymore and it's not accessible. So let me know if the prices are still reasonable. But let me get back to it because you know how I can veer off. But let's get back to it. And in addition to subscribing to this YouTube channel presented to you by Rooted with Aiysha, I'm Aiysha. The Grounded Bag podcast is a wonderful podcast that was a labor of love, but also years in the making. So please go ahead and take a look at all of the playlists presented by the Grounded Bag podcast, where I have them all sectioned because we are roots. We are rooted. So that means that we all look different, act different, the the purpose of each root is different, but the overall goal is to keep the tree alive and growing. So please don't forget to listen to us on Spotify as well and subscribe to the Grounded Bag podcast on Substack so you never miss an update or any latest conversations. And you're probably wondering, okay, Aiysha, I saw that video, that short, and that. What is this? So welcome to the resource room. This is a Friday special because I've come from the world of customer service. I know what it's like to be in service of others, but also feel verbally abused for something that I did not do. So I know what it's like to feel burned out. I also know what it's like to feel as though sometimes leadership or management may not be on our sides in terms of, okay, we know that we have to rectify this for our customer. We know that we have to rectify this to keep the lights on as a business. But what can I do to make sure that mental health is still maintained for my employees? So that is something that even as a supervisor, quick story time, that I offered my employees. I was constantly making sure that mentally they were okay. So many of them had mental health and family issues, circumstances, and many of them were vulnerable about them. I've even lost employees, either if they were let go or one did pass away, which was very hard for me at that time because when you tell someone I'll see you next week, you expect to see them next week, or at least you hope, but to not see them, that was very, very difficult. So I would say that's why this is a resource room. Hence why I wanted to make sure that a part of the Grounded Bag podcast, this segment was created because this is a real moment. This is real resources. That is my goal that I provide. But also, we're going to take a moment. We're going to take a step back. So, if you're watching this in the comforts of your own home, or if it's the laundry room, or if it's the car, or wherever, the office, wherever you're watching this video, thank you so much for joining me and many blessings to you. But let's get started with some meditation. Let's get rooted in some tranquility because we have been soldiering it. It's time for us to get zen. Let yourself be here in this moment in time. Let go of expectations, of to-do lists,
and be here. Be present. Take a big breath in, and on your exhale, sigh it out. Another big breath in. Exhale, let it go. One more inhale, fill up. Exhale, sigh it out. Let your mind, your breath, and your awareness of your body start to link up as one as you take this moment for you. Be present in this space.
Yes, indeed. How are you feeling after that? Wow, that was amazing. 1 minute meditations are accessible, and sometimes it may feel as if they're not. So let me go ahead and share my screen so we could start to get the resource going. Because the most important thing is for you to know that you're able to find these resources and that they are attainable to you. So you can see my screen to the people in the back, to the people in the front. Yes, my screen can be seen. Okay. So today we are going to be diving into workplace burnout and anxiety. Segment 1. So we're going to be tackling the question, am I burned out or just tired? Both. We're tired. We're tired. We're tired. We're tired. And that's another important thing is how can we really be transparent and honest in that and really sit in it? And when do I first start feeling emotionally drained at work? We're going to get into that question. But let's get back into the resources that I was telling you about, because when it comes to those resources, let's say if we want to do 1 minute meditation, you can look that up on YouTube. They has a wide array of different ones. Keep this in mind that it's all based on what you're looking for, because there are ones that have sounds and no voice or anyone talking, and then there's ones where it allows you to essentially um discover which kind, because you also have music meditation looks differently for many people. You have sound baths. um they do, let's say if we want to do a sound bath, you can look that up. They have different ones where I've heard that Black Minds meditation is very good, and then Sound Bath Center, that's also a very good one. And then sound healing with Susie is also a very good one. So just keep in mind that meditation and sound baths are an art of self-care that you do not have to feel as though you're breaking the bank. Because sometimes you're like, okay, let me go ahead and, pay or invest. And there's nothing wrong with that. You have to invest in your health and mental health. But if you are having a hard time financially, and if you're also trying to save up towards something, but you're not able to commit to doing an appointment every week, every week, every week, every week, then keep in mind that there are options for you to still have those experiences and still be able to protect your mental health, where that is where the power of YouTube, the power of the World Wide Web is at your fingertips. That's why this resource room is a segment that I really, really, really wanted to start, is because so many individuals and so many um, beautiful souls have felt forgotten, have felt lost, have felt as though there was not an option or a resource or help, or given that reminder that better days are yet to come. So that's why I wanted to create this segment. And I also wanted just to make sure that there was an option where you all felt as though that there were one. So if we can also go back to the original question of when did I first start feeling emotionally drained at work, I'll give a quick story time on myself where, in case of many of you are not aware of where I used to work, I did a podcast about it. If you follow me on Substack or if you are interested in knowing the story, um, I will link that podcast audio so that we can listen to it. Because I don't want to make this moment about me, it's about you. But I'll give a quick story time because for me, overall, my personality is I'm a go getter, I'm assertive, and my leadership qualities is all of those things, but also an educator and also um, someone that's also willing to go the extra mile in many factors. But what I would say is that you can have all of those things. And I would say that that was also taken advantage of the former place where I used to work because this is my experience, this is my life. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I had the best experiences at work. I was the star people employee, which I was. I was the one that everyone went to if they had questions, and if I didn't know, I would ask. And I never like to. I'm not the kind of individual that would just sit there and see you struggling, and if you have a question or if you have a concern and not try to meet that concern. But I honestly think that that's a blessing and a curse in many elements, especially when the lack thereof of wisdom and knowing how to operate that well can also be a factor to really keep in mind. But also, the saddest thing is when you're in a work environment that's toxic, that also doesn't have an element of peace or mental health is considered, then it becomes draining and it becomes like you're a robot and you're just going, and never stopping. That's a problem. The huge problem. And I think it's also an issue that us as members of a workforce, or if you're in the healthcare field, or if you're a teacher, or if you're a student, or if you're just in another genre of work, it can be very isolating and it can feel emotionally draining when at work you know that you're there because you're some of us love our jobs and then some of us are there just to get paid. But the saddest thing is that you're where the wage gap is the level of effort that they're requesting is not measuring with the level of pay that it's being received. So it's many factors. And then you also have sides where the pay is good, but the level of effort is missing. So there's two ways to look at this, but there's also a lot of elements in how we can take care of ourselves and advocate for ourselves. Because even if you work full time or part time, there is a form of a benefit or there is a form of a service that you should be aware of in the event if you need mental health support, because anytime that you're ever working in the service of another individual or people, or you're front facing as far as customer facing, or you're the one in the back, or you're the one behind the keyboard, or answering the emails to customer inquiries, or helping to lead the business, the most important thing that should be there is knowing that, okay, I have some support in the event if I feel as though I need it, versus feeling as though I'm having to be Wonder Woman or Iron Man to stop the train or fill in the gaps or up and away this situation and make it better than how it was before. That's how I felt like I was. But ultimately speaking, I've realized that there's no such thing as, well, there's such thing as being a hero, but there is no such thing in being the superhero to fix every single situation. Because no matter what, if you look at every single superhero story, there's always something that they didn't fix. There's always something that they missed. And there was always a sacrifice that took a hit because they had to save one person, or they tried to save everyone, but only one really was saved. Or they decided to do a mission in some ways that they wanted to achieve, but only one element or one fragment of that part went well. You've seen the movies, you've seen the stories where even in, but of course, not every Disney movie has a happy ending. There's some where Elsa never found a man. Elsa realized that she had to love herself and love every part of her. So not every story ends in happily ever after. There are some that ends with you may be alone, but you may be happy with that too. So there's many elements that I want us to really keep in mind here is that being the superhero of your own story has a blessing of it, and it's also a curse too, because with great power comes great responsibility. You've all heard that. Put it in the comments of which movie it is. I'm not going to say it for those who may not have watched it, but if you haven't watched it, please do. We grew up on that. I'm not going to say the remake, the name of who's playing the character now, but we grew up on that. And the most important thing that I want us to really keep in mind here is how our body is feeling. What are our warning signs? What are our coping strategies? What are our distractions? What is our personal support? What is our professional support? What is our safe environments? AKA safe spaces where we feel seen, heard, and valued, and we feel as though, okay, I'm okay despite it all. What does that look like for us? So it's important that we look at everything in totality versus looking at everything fragmented. Because when we focus on our own lives and our own sufferings and our own, we end up missing the bigger picture that we're all connected to each other invertedly and collectively. We're all connected to one another. So that also goes back to another important question that I want to ask you is, do I feel rested even after time off? For me, when I took time off, which is rare, um, I felt rested when I was just with my family and when I was not thinking about work. But when you're thinking about work, even when you're off, you're going to come back to work and be like, oh my God, what happened with the time off? But it's different though when you're actually working a passion job, a career where you feel as though it can, or a job that can lead to a potential role or a job that aligns with what you're studying or educating in, or it aligns with where you see yourself. Because in many elements, many individuals, they may work a job, they may have a career, they may have a foundation or organization, they may be expanding on that level. And many times when you're already in that field or in that niche, it doesn't feel like work to you. It's like, okay, I take my days off, I prioritize my mental health, and I get back to work because I love it. That's where I'm sitting right now, even after the 5 years that I spent at the other company. And this is just God's doing. I had letters of recommendations. I've asked for them. They were done willingly, voluntarily. Even had professors and previous, managers or colleagues that came and vouched for me and my professionalism because they were the truth. I was professional as an associate and as a supervisor and as a leader. Not to say, hmm, that I didn't have my bumps in the road and that I didn't have my struggles, because a lot of the tasks became overwhelming because when you're pulled in different directions outside of your own work and you're having to train and do this and do that and step into more roles on top of what you're already doing. And when you're the one that knows more than others and you're the one that's tapped to explain, and the thing is, I've always thought of the perspective that, especially if you're a part of a company or an organization, then everyone should be privy to what everyone is doing. So let's say if I'm working in at the cashiers, that register. I should know how to stack some cans too. I should know how to do it. So that way, if Susie Q is sick or whatever, I'm able to fill in the gap versus there being a, oh, no one can do it. Okay, well, then no one's doing it today. No. How else are you going to keep the boat going? So that's precisely why it is important that we really just dive into that. And speaking of that, I will be posting the discussion questions in the comments, and I'll also be posting them on my Substack so that way you're able to discuss that amongst yourself because we need to get into those resources. We need to get into them. So I want to say all of this, say those first two questions. When did you first start feeling emotionally drained at work? And do I feel rested after taking time off? That is a loaded question. And that is a question best asked and answered by you. So I just want you to know that I'm going to allow you to get into that question and break it down for yourselves because that is an important question. And our lives look different. All of us, we have our own struggles, pitfalls, but I want you to know that we are all in this together. And speaking of being in this together, let's look at those resources. So let's go ahead and let's start with this. So, the first resources that we have accessible to us is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. So, keep in mind when it comes to NAMI, there's always a perspective. It's mental health. Why am I even entertaining that? I'm not going crazy. First of all, you do not need to have a mental health disorder to have and be supported because you may have that loyal friend, you may have that family member that's ready to be a listening ear, but everyone has their breaking point. Everyone has their moment where they're like, I love you. I love you with all my heart, but I need a minute. I can't be there for you the way that you want me to be there for you 24/7. Delivery is everything, but the message is still very much valid that one person cannot be your end all be all dumping ground or punching bag because over time that makes the relationship more transactional versus a relationship that's based on trust and friendship. So that is why it's very crucial and important to look at all variables and also see a little bit more deeply versus introspectively. So, a little bit about what NAMI does. Let's go ahead and just take a look, shall we? So, essentially, their vision, it's always important to look at their vision, mission, and values, where NAMI envisions a world where all people affected by mental health illness live healthy, fulfilling lives supported. What happened here? Supported by a community that cares. So, that is their vision. And their mission is to provide advocacy, education, and support and public awareness so that all individuals and families affected by mental health can build better lives. So, anytime that you're ever looking into a resource, it helps to look at the organization's vision and mission, and values, as well as what they do, as it will essentially help you to know, okay, what can you do for me? Because even when you're asking for help, even when you're either working with a charity organization, a nonprofit, you want to make sure that you are able to be supported by those that are helping you, but also you're able to be supported fully versus, okay, we can do this, but we can't do that. So we have to really keep that part in mind. And in addition to this organization, a little bit of what they do is they also offer educational programs, support through public policy, and they do have a toll-free helpline that we're going to get into soon that not only allows you to speak with a representative, because more likely From what I read about the hours, their hours are Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, whereas other crisis lines are more on a 24-hour radius. So you have to look at all of that too. You have to look at all of that. And in addition to that, you also want to keep in mind that a lot of these organizations, they do have fundraising events like the NAMI walks where you're able to actually walk and to really share awareness about mental health, resources that are needed, as well as what is and what should be accessible to all people. But if you're, let's say, if you're within the state of Illinois, just to use that as an example, they have a separate database that provides you with information and knowledge, where it also gives you resources of affiliations with NAMI. So that way, let's say if you have to work with support groups or upcoming events in each state, it gives you a chance to be able to see, okay, I'm in this state. This is what's accessible to me. Their main headquarters and contact center is in um, Chicago, Illinois. So that is a good resource. It tells you who the president is. It also tells you a little bit more information about the locations of where NAMI and its affiliated bodies and agencies. So it's always good to be able to immerse yourself in all of that. And as let me go back so that way you can see it. So all programs in Illinois, once you select it per your state, it will tell you ending the silence, family and friends, family support groups, family to family, and in our own voice, and smarts for advocacy. It will tell you all about all different events that they're having locally by state. So just know what's happening in Virginia is not going to be happening in Illinois. Each state is different, as well as who's over that branch. So let's say if we were looking at family support groups, this tells you a little bit about what's accessible, what's in person, what is virtual. And let's say if you wanted to select the type and it all be virtual, it will tell you all virtual. Keep this in mind. Many of these support groups are offered from 2016 all the way to 2030. So it's like a continuation, you know? And if you are specific, it'll also tell you, and I selected location type virtual, it will then exclude other states that it may not be offered in. So let's say if you're in Georgia, it'll tell you what groups are offered to you virtually, so that and the date and time. So that way you're able to just start the process and get going, and its affiliation bodies and which county that they're located in. So these are things that you want to really be mindful of, as well as another way for you to just be educated on the overall process, really. So let's say if we were in South Fulton, this is how you'd be able to start. Where they Central Express, they use Zoom. This is the first and third Tuesday monthly, so you can get the process started with that. No registration needed. So you'll essentially be contacting the facilitator, the email, no phone listed. And let's say if you wanted to just start the process and go there, this will actually give you a little bit more information on that practice and agency. So from there on, you'll be reaching out to them, and you will be able to just let them know that I'm interested, and they'll provide you with whatever credential that's required. Could be the Zoom link, could be the phone number, could be whatever that you'll need. But make sure that you do your best to read as far as registration. No registration required. So from what I'm gathering, you don't necessarily have to fill out anything to RSVP. You show up, but this is the time, that's the duration. And but correct me if I'm wrong, if you've ever done the NAMI support groups specifically, at that point you'll use your own discretion and see if that's something that works for you. Mhm. And as far as their helpline, this is what I was telling you about. They're available Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And they offer many ways where you can contact them. If you want to text NAMI, N as in Nancy, A as in Apple, M as in Mary, and I as in Igloo. If you text Tsunami at 62640, then you'll be able to start talking with someone or start the conversation. Or if you want to call them, you can use the number right here, the 800 number, 950-6264. So that way you are able to get in contact with them, get the process going, and actually start connecting. And let's say if you let's say a family caregiver needs support, they have a helpline for that. Let's say if you're a teen or a young adult, they have a section for that. Let's say if you speak another language, let's say if Spanish is your language of choice, they have that option too. Hmm. So keep in mind it varies, but the most important thing is knowing um what's accessible. And hey, if you want to volunteer, there's many ways where a lot of individuals they volunteer to work at organizations, and then they eventually work for them on a long-term basis. So there's different ways that you're able to leverage and grow. That's the most important thing. And that's important that you're able to just have that support overall. And for a lot of individuals, finding a therapist as well as finding a ways or a database to find one is very crucial. So I'm going to provide you with two different resources. So that way you're able to know what is out there. And another thing that a lot of individuals may not be fully privy to is overall what kind of resource is accessible to them, as well as what might be available. So that's why directories and areas of, okay, this is where is important. So Psychology Today, I know many of you may be or feel like, psychology, do I really need a psychologist? I don't need one. This is a directory. So it gives you an opportunity to actually see what's locally available to you, as well as if you have a preference on wanting a Black therapist. Let's just be transparent here. The historical histories of mental health, especially in the Black community, I have to be mindful of that, is not often accessible, or it's not often desired because of the history of medical malpractice towards individuals who are either indigenous or Caribbean, African, or African American. So we just have to keep in mind of the cultural context anytime that you're talking about mental health, health in general, and anything that has to do with the mind, body, and spirit. So, in terms of Psychology Today, let's say if you're wanting to look into individuals who may be of color, this gives you some insight on them. And the most important thing is just being able to just know and see your therapist and to be able to actually be open to that process. So, and it can vary per state. So you can actually look up what you need if it's a support group. NAMI has, not NAMI, Psychology Today does have that. So let's say if we were to do Illinois, for support groups. And you can select this therapists, psychiatrists, treatment centers, and support groups. There are different forms of support groups. So you're able to, if it's for substance abuse counseling, mindfulness based stress reduction for teens, counseling and evaluation, LGBTQ plus support process groups. So there's different forms of groups like questioning parenthood support groups. Knowing what's accessible to you is crucial because that will also give you an opportunity of what you can do and what you are able to support yourself with. If you have to take your water or if you have to eat while you're watching this, please do. So, Psychology Today has been a long-standing resource for a lot of individuals. Sorry, something got caught. Jesus. Amen, Lord. Has been a long-standing resource for individuals to not only find help as far as counseling, but also community. So just know that if in person is not your zhuzh, then there are virtual support groups that are accessible to you. And there's also some therapists who are virtually able to support you as well virtually. All you have to do is put in your state. Let's say if I were to put in Virginia Beach, hypothetically, then it will give you an opportunity to see what's virtually to you. See, it has a couch. That means that she not only does, let's click on her, that not only does it both in person and online. So therapy is accessible, but technological standpoints is, do you have access to a phone? Do you have access to a computer? It's another story. So keep that in mind anytime that you're pursuing virtual therapy. If you're pursuing in-person therapy, just make sure that you're able to actually go to those sessions. And on future presentations, we'll go over transportation if that is a factor. So that way you're able to have that support as well. So, in terms of that, let me go back on over. Alrighty. So back where we were. So this is another form of psychology today, but this is for the Anxiety and Depression Association of America. This is another great database. Reject. I don't want no cookies. Okay. So this is another amazing database that a lot of individuals have expressed that they've used. And I would say that this database, it gives you a little bit of everything. Psychology Today gives you like a directory. Um, ADAA gives you a combination of everything, but they're also focused on anxiety, but also the contributing factors to it. Could be depression, it could be OCD, it could be having suicidal ideations, PTSD, you name it. It could be many things. So, same like Psychology Today, you can find help and support. Let's say if it's finding a therapist, free webinars, support groups. They have different opportunities where you can either find a therapist or online peer-to-peer communities, so that we were able to just see a little bit about what is accessible to you. So they have the ADAA free for free online support communities, so that way you're able to just have that connection and community. So they have these accessible. So if you ever feel as though you want to find a community, they're out there. But the most important thing is keeping in mind that these are shared spaces. Some of them are moderated, some of them are not. But most importantly speaking, this is geared towards health. So be respectful of these platforms. And sometimes no one wants to hear be respectful or how good housekeeping's, but it just keeps in context. So this is for therapy, this is for support. This is not to build an intimate partner relationship, because then that also takes away from the journey of each person healing. If both consenting adults or individuals decide outside of the therapeutic process you would like to pursue communication, that's your discretion. But within these platforms, they do advise to keep decorum and respect of everyone involved. So, just to get that out of the way. Mm-hmm. And the same platform also offers free mental health webinars to support your well being. Same like this. Do I respect PANS? So they have different webinars that you can attend where it's taught by a clinician that gives you a lot of insight. Let's say menstrual cycle and how that impacts our mental health, supporting adolescent mental health in the digital age, important one. When did that? Oh, that was on May 5th. It's the 8th. Next time, y'all. But stay in the loop with this because they're going to be offering more. But the most important thing here is that Once you're able to just be in the loop and actually either if you sign up for their monthly newsletter, you're able to get those reminders. Hey, we're having this webinar, this date, this time. All right, if you want to join RSVP, typically it would be, let me show you what it looks like. Let's say if I wanted to join this one. See, it says free. It's on June 1st. Let's say if you click register, it will give you the opportunity to put in your information. If you're with an organization, let's say if you're an intern for like psychology or an MSW, then you can partner with your supervisor and your school to let them know that, hey, this is a platform that has webinars that I can use as clinical hours, but it's working towards me being educated within the field of what I'm studying. This can also be used as clinical hours too. And many of these programs or webinars, they offer CEUs so that we are able to have those credited hours as well. So there are resources out here that you can tap into, as well as finding a therapist. Let's say if you were to um, look up in Chicago, for instance, or that's probably not gonna. Let me see. Let's say hypothetically, right? Is it going to show something? Probably doing it wrong, but you get the picture. What I'm mainly saying is is the overall accessibility. So let's say if you sign up for their newsletter, this gives you a chance to be able to just get insight as well as their webinars, as well as other, if you're wanting to donate to their organization, that also helps to ensure that these resources can continue. So, as well as self help books, they have their own bookstore, reading list, different stories as to how you can get involved. So, these different resources that I'm sharing, these are accessible to you and open to the public. Some individuals, they may sign up for a webinar and go to a local library and watch it. So there's different ways to have access to internet if you're not able to within your home. So it is my hope that you're able to have those methods to attain this. But if you're not able to, then there are ways that you are able to have access, either it's through a library or if it's a friend, if they're willing to allow you to use their computer or phone. So there's many elements that you can utilize, but the most important thing is knowing that they're out there. Um, it's not in abundance, sadly, because the world is changing, policies, legislators, leaders. Um, it's a lot going on out here, y'all. And I don't think you need me to remind you of that. So the most important thing is for us to create this safe space where we can do our research, look things up, talk about them, but also ask ourselves, is this going to help me? Is this going to work for me? And can I be able to support myself as I walk through this path and journey? So I say all of this to say, let's make sure that we're making decisions that are pushing us forward instead of back. And lastly, this is a resource that I have gotten fond of in finding, and it is heypeers.com. Heypeers.com. Keep this in mind. If you ever need to slow this video down to get all of these websites, please do. Oh, hit my teacup. Please do. And I will also include the link in the description boxes. In the description box, not boxes, Aiysha. In the description box, I'll include the links in there so that we were able to have access to all of this. But hey, peers, it's another platform where, let's say, if loneliness is a thing, it's another big epidemic, um, as well as if you're moving into another place and you're trying to rebuild your community, but also it's hard and you're when you're transitioning and moving and transitioning and moving. So getting connected with other individuals who get it, who see it, who understand it is it always helps, but it also gives a level of reassurance. So finding that support is important. And Hey Peers not only offers peer support groups, but they also do offer one-on-one coachings, private chat rooms where you can find meetings and conversations such as this. Like they also have chat rooms that are facilitated by peer supporters led in each room, so that way it's not free for all. That's important because when you leave individuals to themselves, it can be a good thing and a bad thing, but most of the time it's a bad thing. So it's regulated. The Zoom meetings are regulated, as well as there's one-on-one coaching. So let's do a little tour of Hey Peers. So as far as support groups, they have different arrays where if you prefer a one-on-one with a peer supporter or a clinician, they have those for like a nominal fee. And many of them range from, like, as you can see, $25, and some of them are free. So if you're wanting a one-on-one, you have those options, as well as they'll give you a little bit of insight on what the one-on-one entails, as well as a price point, just so that way they're able to be upfront with you about their nominal fee, and you're also to be knowledgeable about what it all entails. um, this is certified, so these are Hey Peer certified meetings where you're also able to, many of these are attached to support groups already. So these are what you would call, I don't want to say exclusive, but non-free meetings. As you can see, some of them are $7, $8. They vary. Hmm. So this is something to really look at. But if you're wanting to go the free route, there are sessions. One of them is today, the 8th, and building blocks of boundaries, romance scam victims, AARP fraud victim support group. They have that. So that this meeting is not only to support, is for victims of romance scams only, but is also an AARP fraud victim support group, which they include individuals with an online forum to meet and interact with each other, as well as who have experienced similar events. So it doesn't have to be with romance scam. It can be with someone is calling you and they say they were the IRS. You give them your information, and then bam. The IRS never calls you, by the way. They typically would send a letter. And trying to get them on the line is like trying to part the Red Sea. That's another story. And poetry, if you are a poet, they have something for you too. So this is a peer run poetry group where you can come together to share and heal through spoken word, write a poem, recite a favorite poem, and the possibilities are endless. I love it. Creative writing for recovery and wellness. Ooh, they added this one. This is new. Mm-hmm. I love this. Shapes of hue. It ends with us. And they said that this is not an allies group if you do not identify with BIPOC community. Please refrain from registering for this group. So, essentially speaking, if you're wanting to know what BIPOC means, we're going to look it up together. Meaning, it stands for Black, Indigenous, and People of Color. It is a term used to describe individuals who are not white, specifically intended to highlight the unique systemic discrimination faced by Black, Indigenous people in the United States while acknowledging their shared solidarity with all other people of color. That's what that means. So, this is for many individuals that this may seem offensive, like they're excluding. No, they're not. Let's just be educationally and emotionally intelligent here, that this is letting you know up front that if you do not align with this form of group or either ethnicity or either background, that this is a safe space for individuals who want to open doors to their own BIPOC POC community to talk about traumas freely because it can be difficult for many individuals, especially if they've experienced a lot of traumas due to discrimination and racism, to feel comfortable with a non BIPOC individual who's a part of the group. But if you have questions about that, there's more details that can also be looked into. But these are things to look at when it comes to therapy, when it comes to being in a support group, is just to be mindful and conscious, but also respectful. Because just as you want to be respected for your religious beliefs and your stance on a lot of issues, is then you have to respect other people as well. Because we all live in the world together, not one person. And same as NAMI, they have their connection support group for individuals who are 18 plus. So there are good, solid free support groups that they do have that are also very culturally sound music, and that gives you wide ranges. So I love that. So you see, these are the different support group types. You have general, other, depression, addiction. You see all of the options. So Hey Peers got it going on. And let's say if you're wanting to register now and connect with a qualified supporter, this is where you're able to do that by clicking certified support, certified peer supporters. It lets you know their credentials, and it also lets you know a little bit more about them, the trainings that they've done, their expertise and knowledge. So keep this in mind. It's always important to make sure you're comfortable before you start anything. So just as I'm doing, let's look into it. And these are their chat rooms. Hey Peers, certified college and grad students. So these are their different chat rooms: life after divorce, um, skin picking, hair biting, grounding room. So they have different support groups. I'm sorry, different chat rooms that are specific to specific needs. So that is important. And if you are a peer supporter, join as a peer supporter, and you're already certified in that, then you can look into it and see what opportunities lie ahead for you. So, hey, if you already have your peer support certificate and you're able to have all of those credentials, then there are opportunities for you. So keep this in mind as you're growing and as you're helping other people and as you're helping yourself, it also can yield other employment opportunities if this is the field or education that you already specialize in. So just know that if you're ever looking for a position at many of these organizations, asking a question, doing a tour of all that they offer is very important and crucial, because now more than ever, I would say, um, my beautiful roots, is being transparent is key. And being open and honest is something that not even money can buy. And just know that resources vary and resources aren't always readily offered, especially per geographical location. But I hope that this episode really proves to you that resources are still out there. Even if it may not be specific to your immediate needs, they're still out there to meet another need. Because as we talked about the duality of being a hero and a superhero, there's a duality. So it's also important that we're able to explore both sides. So if you all have not already, please hit that subscribe button right now. Bless somebody in the name of Jesus. I'm just kidding. But yes, please do. But most importantly, I want to thank you for spending your lunch time with me, your break with me. If you got to the end of this video and you're like, girl, this has been long. This has been long for a reason, because we have a lot of resources that we need to talk about. But the most important thing is how we're able to help and support each other at perilous times like this, because we're also facing a lot of uncertainty and it doesn't make a lot of people feel confident and safe and sound. So this resource room is here to provide free support, webinars, hotlines you should know about, as well as resources that are here to help you and support you. So I say that all to say that support still exists, even in moments like this. Take care, take care, but also take what resonates with you today. Move gently with yourself from here. And I'm your host, once again, Aiysha and Sa. And until next time, be kind to your mind, keep choosing yourself, and one moment at a time, because it is not easy, but you are worth it. And we're here to support you. And if you have not already, please take a look at all of the other playlists for the Grounded Bag podcast, where you're able to see what else is out there and what we've been talking about. Thank you all. And please take care of yourself. And also, listen, if you may want a good laugh here and there, please check out my shorts. I also do post some very insightful information on my YouTube shorts as well. And follow me on TikTok, Rooted with Aiysha, as well on X, Rooted with Aiysha, where I do get down. I do watch some shows and I do talk about it, and I do talk about them live. And I will also be doing some more, not live as in go on live, but I do um live tweet, so to speak, or give my commentary. So look out for that. But stay tuned for more resource room episodes, and we'll see what other resource we're going to be looking up and where this road takes us. Until next time, stay safe, stay blessed, and stay rooted. Bye now.